So I'll start with a few housekeeping things. If you could just keep your camera and mic either muted or turned off while we're presenting, and then at the end we'll have time for questions. And so you can either type those questions in the chat or you can unmute and ask those questions. Um, Also, if you think of a question while we're presenting, just go ahead and type that in the chat and we'll circle back around to it at the end. All right, so I am Lindsay Broom. I am the NOFA Evaluation Coordinator here at HCD. And today we are here meeting regarding solicitation ID T33007, the Community Project Funding Department of Labor grant. And so I will go over some of the basics, and then I have Jared Briggs here on the program side who will go over the scoring criteria and the kind of the meat of the NOFA itself, like, what we're looking for. And again, if you have any questions, just type those in the chat and we'll get to those. And I apologize for any background noise. I am in the office today, so there'll be some background noise. It's just an agenda for what we're going to talk about today. I'm just going to jump right into the actual presentation. So what we're looking here is up to $850,000 of total funding available. The project will be funded with Department of Labor Community Project Funding grants. These are congressionally directed grants. They can be funded from a variety of places, but this one in particular is Department of Labor funding. And it must comply with Department of Labor rules, quarterly reporting requirements, and monitoring guidance. So I know a lot of you are probably familiar with HUD funds because that is a large chunk of what we work with here at Housing, but these are a little bit different because they're Department of Labor. So that will be something you need to pay attention to, is the different regulations, Department of Labor versus HUD. This is the kind of estimated timeline. So that NOFA was issued on October 5th. Today we're having the conference. You do need to get your questions submitted by 5 p.m. tomorrow. So I know that is a quick turnaround, but the actual application is due on the 13th, which is Friday. So that's why the question deadline is shortened. So what I suggest you doing is, if you haven't already looked over the NOFA, doing that immediately and coming up with your list of questions. And if you're not able to ask them today, just send them to me via email at this email at the bottom of the screen, hcd_NOFA@houstontx.gov. And I will get those answers back to you in a quick turnaround so that you have them as you're applying. And again, the application deadline is this Friday at 3 p.m. Jared is going to go over the public services program priorities and the NOFA overview.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jared Briggs. I am the division manager with our public services section here at HCD. And as Lindsay said, I will go over briefly the item for the NOFA and the DOL funds and what we're looking for. So public services within housing and community development, we manage a lot of HUD funds primarily. As Lindsay said, these are Department of Labor funds, but we are in charge of administering these grant funds. And we deal with a lot of nonprofits, and we seek to expand the services that are provided to residents. Primarily, we deal in services related to homelessness intervention, childhood development, early childhood education, job training services, case management, care for residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and other public services related activities, whether it be senior services or there's kind of a wide variety. For this particular NOFA, though, again, being Department of Labor funds, we're seeking nonprofit organizations that have their 501c3 nonprofit status established with the IRS and are eligible to operate within the state of Texas, to administer a job training program with related case management services. And that case management is really essential for students that are enrolled or participants that are enrolled, to assist them with completion of the program and job placement once they receive their either certificate or complete the proposed program. And that program should be in a home construction and recovery industry for Houston residents. And we expect the term of the agreement from the applicants who is selected to be up to 24 months or 2 years. So the overview of the NOFA. So again, this is a little bit outside of our usual funding that we have available. This is through the Department of Labor community project funding, and that community project funding is via the local congressional delegation. This is via Sheila Jackson Lee's office. There was a request for funding, and this is funding routed through the Department of Labor. We have $850,000 that's set aside, as was indicated earlier. So these funds, like our other programs, will be provided on a reimbursement basis, so that we do request applicants have a minimum of 90 days of operating capital to support the proposed program, because again, we'll need to start the program the way it normally works. We'll have like your first month, you'll operate. And then within 20 days of the following month, by the 20th of the following month, you'll submit your request for reimbursement for your expenses. And then we need anywhere from 30 to 45 days to review, process, and assuming there's no issues and the payment is complete, and then process and pay. So that's why we need roughly 90 days of capital so that you can float the program while those reimbursement requests are being compiled, submitted, reviewed, and approved, and then payment is issued. For this NOFA, we are setting a floor, a minimum of $100,000 to be requested. So any application that does not request a minimum or have a budget of a minimum of $100,000 will not be reviewed. Again, as I said earlier, the agreement term is expected to be up to 24 months, and then the agencies to be selected for inclusion, from this NOFA, the agencies to be selected will be put in a Department of Labor application that has to be submitted by January 2024. So a little bit of background. Again, this funding was made available through the Department of Labor via the community project funding through the congressional delegation that got it approved. But the funding is not yet issued to us. We now have to submit an application that includes what agencies that the City of Houston will be working with and that we intend to fund. So that's the purpose of this NOFA, and sort of the short turnaround is so we can get applications in and then work to review and select applicants that will be part of this larger application that is being submitted to DOL, because we still have to get this NOFA completed and then put that information in the application that requires City Council approval before it gets submitted. So there's lots of lead time that's required for those items. So again, some of the threshold items, these are items that the application must have for it to be considered for review. So this will be kind of the first things that are reviewed, and if they're missing, then the application will not proceed. So first one, key, not debarred or suspended by City of Houston, not on the state of Texas debarments or the federal governments through the sam.gov system. So make sure you have your system for award management, SAM. You have an active account, and that you also have no exclusions. Again, in good standing with the City of Houston, no issues with your delinquent taxes or anything like that. So you have to have your certificate of account status and current 501c3. And again, for this, we understand we are expanding it a little to 501c4. Like, you just have to have your established tax exempt status and provide that documentation from the IRS as part of the application. For the proposed training in the home residential construction and recovery training program, whatever site that the training is going to occur at, if the application is going to have a site that you're going to be using or leasing, we need to know that. Or if it's you're going to have like a proposed partnership or a contract with another agency, then we'll need some type of proof that they have site control for the proposed location where the training will occur. The total project cost needs to be fully funded, of course, except for the amount you're requesting, but you still need to have the funding available to float the program when we talked about the reimbursement, the 90-day minimum. So if this will be all DOL funds that you're requesting, that should be relevant and shown in the budget. Or if there are other funds that you're going to include in your proposed application, those funds need to be available for use and shown that they are ready to go with the proposed DOL funds. And then again, the minimum request of $100,000.
Hey, Jared, this is Lindsay. Sorry. Can you just explain to them what they need to provide for that fully funded? And I know that's probably going to be a question. I can answer it, or you can answer it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, I mean, my expectation is, whatever is reflected in the scope and the budget. So you'll need to provide either If the program is solely requesting DOL funds and has no additional leverage funds that are being included from other sources, then they would just need to provide that they have adequate capital on hand for the minimum of the 90 days for the proposed program. If there's other funding that's being used, then we'll need proof of that funding, whether it be your like general operating funds. Say you were going to have another $1,000 or $100,000 in leverage that's going to be part of the program, then we would need to see either like a bank statement that shows you have that money on hand, or a line of credit from a bank that shows that it's available, or that you have some type of capital or operating reserves that are free and can be used to support this program. Or if you have another source of federal, state, or local or private dollars that have been awarded to you, then just proof that that funding has been awarded and is available through like an award letter, and that make sure that it says that it's able to be used in the same term as the proposed project term. And so for scoring, again, this will have a maximum, as it says, of 100 points total. So we're going to be looking for several different items and reviewing them as part of the application. The organizational management, up to 25 points for that section. So this is broken out in the NOFA document itself to give you some more information. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but we do need some simple information, a chart, organizational structure, narrative for the proposed project. So this should really tell us like who's going to be what positions and who is going to be a part of the project. We don't need to see the entire agency org chart, but we do need to see how this proposed project and the staff fit in to maybe like the larger structure to give us an idea of like how you're going to management, who's going to be involved. And then for applicants that will be for applications from applicants that are selected, we'll follow up with job descriptions. We normally request those be included, but given the short turnaround time, we're just trying to get a more high level overview of what the proposed project is. And then for those that we select, we'll request additional information. For experience and past performance, again, up to 25 points. So that's where the applicants will need to tell us what past experience they have, with a similar program. Have they worked with City of Houston and or federal funds in the past? And then, what other experience do they have undertaking some type of similar training project? It could be job training. It could be some other form of training, or as a nonprofit, something that is that they at least deem a relevant and similar experience, and explain that with the information submitted. And so we'll review that. How long has the agency been in existence? What is the agency's mission? And then if you do have past performance, we'll want you to, include what is your experience complying with federal regulations. Again, this being federal funds, there are a lot of reporting and compliance requirements. There's a whole monitoring guide that for those that are selected that will be shared with them from the Department of Labor. So our agency will supervise and administer. We will monitor and for compliance, and of course review payment packages, but also we do expect and have been told that at some point the Department of Labor will come in and do a full-blown compliance monitoring at some point during the grant term. The next item, cost reasonableness and effectiveness, up to 20 points. So that's where, as part of the proposed activity in the scope, so we're going to look at how you're going to implement it and the related cost. Does it seem reasonable based on past experience, past projects, other projects, of similar types that we have worked with? So that'll be part of our cost reasonableness evaluation. That's something that's required per 2 CFR 200. We have to do a, cost reasonableness assessment to make sure that the costs are in line. And again, remember, as part of those costs, a minimum application amount of $100,000. We'll also need to look at what is going to be the breakdown per your scope, and then the budget for the cost per unit, whether that unit be per person served, per hour, or number of sessions. Explain that to us. That should be part of the information that we receive. So you need to justify it. And then also based on what are the proposed outcomes. And again, we expect to see outcomes that are related to number that are something, and I'll give you an idea of something, number that are going to be served, number that are going to be enrolled in the program, how many people is the program going to serve, how many jobs, or, a percentage of those that are enrolled will be placed into jobs, how many will complete, based off your experience. We understand not everybody that enrolls, often, sometimes there are people that quit or drop out, things happen. So just be realistic and reasonable, and that's going to also factor into, these kind of build on each other, your experience and past performance. provide, running a similar process. Then we get to the budget. So there's up to 15 points for the budget. So please make sure that the budget explains line by line what you're doing. It does not have to be broken down extremely detailed at this point. We want to get at least an overview by like general categories. We did not provide a budget template for this. We're letting each applicant provide their own budget that they feel best fits their scope and the proposed project and fits their narrative. We did not do an Excel file. There's no Excel file or budget for you to go get. So feel free, provide a budget in the format that you feel best fits, but we do need to see, at least by broad categories and make sure that, everything totals up correctly, check your math, and that it is aligned with the scope and the narrative that you're giving us, and that, your cost estimates, your staff time, whether that be for salaries or fringe or whatever, is based off of, general standards, competitive wages. If you have any questions about like what is a reasonable cost, then, feel free to submit those via the email that Lindsay provided. And I recommend go to the General Services Administration. They have a lot of wage information if you have any questions or want to see kind of what the general wage ranges are. And again, we're going to look at that for overall completeness. And then we would like to see, as part of that budget evaluation, what is, can the agency support this program once the DOL funds, the funding that we're providing, runs out? What is the proposed plan? And if it is like you would not be able to support it afterwards, just explain why. And if you can, or if you think that this would be a good kind of seed money to start a new program, and then, you could seek other funding sources while it's ongoing to sustain it, explain how that will occur. The last item, agency collaboration, again, up to 15 points for that section. So we want to see what other agencies you're proposing to work with. How are they going to support or enhance the level of service and the outcomes? And also, how are they going to help you with your targeted population to bring in? So if you say you're going to serve 50 individuals through this training program, how are you going to recruit them? Is that going to be part of an agency that's going to help you? Do they have a pool of people or students or a waiting list? And if so, explain that. We do want to see if you have a partner for agency collaboration, something on letterhead from the other agency that's dated less than 12 months from the submission of the NOFA. So since this is due at the end of the week for October, something after October 13th of 2022 is the date we would be looking for. And if your agency is not proposing to collaborate with another, please provide information still on like why. Why is it that that your agency doesn't need to collaborate? We are encouraging collaboration, but if you have we have the population, we have the skill, we have the team already, or we know how to do this, provide that narrative to us. Agency collaboration is not proposed because of the following. Justify why you're not doing agency collaboration, and that will still fulfill that role of, what explaining. So please just, if you're not planning to collaborate with anyone, don't leave that section blank. Don't forget to include that, because you can still receive up to full points if you provide adequate information to explain why you are or are not going to collaborate with other agencies. And I think that was my last slide, correct, Lindsay?
Yes. Thanks, Jared. Okay, I'm going to go over complaints and appeals briefly, because it's not my area of expertise, but this conference was scheduled short notice, so I wasn't able to get our complaints and appeals person on the call. So essentially, HCD has a complaint and appeal policy. This slideshow and recording will be available on the website. So please do go back and watch and read anything that you may have missed or didn't quite catch during the presentation. There's complaints. You have 15 days, and then the appeal 30 to 45 days for us to give a written response. And who can file a complaint? Any member of the public and program participants. Program participants can also file an appeal. And when you are filing, we need first and last name, address, name of project, phone number, preferred contact method, and the reason for complaint or appeal. I'm not going to go over the tiers because I'm not familiar enough with that, so I don't want to give you any bad information. But again, if you have any questions about this particular process, please just send me an email and I will get that information to you. And then also, you can also, this email right here, HCDD complaints appeal at houstontx.gov. That's a great resource if you would like more information. And there's also a hotline here, 832-394-6200, extension 8. Okay, so I'm going to go over how to get to the NOFA and how to submit the NOFA. So first, how do you get to it? So you visit our website and you click on funding contract opportunities. Notice the funding availability, this little red box right here for NOFA. Once you click on that, it will pull up a little blurb about this particular NOFA. And to see the NOFA itself, you click View NOFA. To see any documents that you may need as part of the application packet, you click View Applicable NOFA Documents. And to submit, you go to HCD NOFA Document Submittal Portal. So I will show you what happens if you click on View Applicable NOFA Documents. A table comes down and you can see the checklist, which is your kind of go-to outline of the application. So the first thing I would do is download that document and see the list of everything that needs to be submitted. And then as you're going through the list and you see something like, say, title page, and you want to know what to put on a title page, you go pull up that document and complete it. Or say you see accounting system certification, you need to know what that is, you go and pull it up here on this table. So there should be every required form that you need should be here in this table. If you do find something that's not here or you have an issue with any of the links, please contact me as soon as possible so that I can help you with that. So that is what I'm here for, is to help you through this process. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And then when you click on the View NOFA tab, it pulls up our Strategic Purchasing Division website. And there, this PDF right here, NOFA CPFPS 2023.pdf. That's the actual PDF of the NOFA. So if you haven't seen that already, I would suggest today going to look at that and seeing what is required and what you need to submit, and also the scoring criteria and threshold requirements are listed there. So when it's time to submit the application, we use a on-base document portal, and this is the website right here. And below here, this picture is what it looks like when you click on that link. The first thing you do is, our documents for a NOFA submission. Yes, you have to put that here. Otherwise, this bottom part won't populate correctly. So you hit yes here, and then you put in the solicitation ID, and you must put the T. So T33007 goes there. And then these NOFA title, NOFA status, all these things should populate from there. And since I'm just sharing my screen, let me just go ahead and show you how this works. I don't know, are you guys able to see that? Okay, so this is the NOFA portal. Our documents for NOFA submission, yes. I'm going to type in T33007, enter. And as you can see, community project funding, public services, it populates. You put in your project name and your project address. That's the name of the training facility, like where that will be. And then for the organization information, if it's different, then you put in your address and contact information for the actual organization. And at the bottom of the screen, you can see what's all required. So your application checklist, your title page, your organizational management section, each section that is required, and then the forms that are required as well. And at the bottom, we have the threshold. And I just want to, since I have you all here, go over the threshold. So with this particular NOFA, because it is a short turnaround, I want you to focus on getting something to us. So, like Jared said, budget, we just want, like an idea of what you're planning to do. We do need to evidence that it's fully funded. That would go down here in threshold. We do need evidence of site control. Your 501c3 status, your certificate of account status from the comptroller, this attestation that the organization is in good standing, that comes from either your CEO or your board of directors, or those are the two primary places. Just a letter saying that, yes, we are in good standing with the city. And then your sam.gov just a screenshot of your registration status with sam.gov, showing that you're not debarred. So when I do threshold review, that's the first thing I'll look at is these 6 things to make sure that they're there and that they meet the threshold requirements. And then I'll move up here to look at these application content. So typically I do give a cure period if there is something missing. Let's say a form is missing. Now, if your organization management is just kind of is not like doesn't contain everything we'd ideally like to see, that's not something that I would ask you to cure. Curing, I mean like missing forms, things that or non-material to the actual the actual application. But again, we do realize that this is a short turnaround, so we're asking you just to give your best efforts here, and there will be, some leeway if some of the forms are missing and you need some additional time to get them in. But the threshold requirements are the hard and fast rules here, so we do need those before we can move on to scoring. And of course, you want to make sure that your application content, like the actual, organizational management, experience and past performance, cost reasonableness and effectiveness, your budget, your agency collaboration, you're being scored on those things. So you want to put your best efforts there as well, because those were the things that the evaluation committee will use to score your application. So out of this, go back to my presentation. 1 second. One thing else I want to, all communication must be in writing to hcd_NOFA@houstontx.gov. That is the general email for NOFA. It's manned by myself and Jamila Glover. So everything there should be answered in a speedy fashion. I will say that there should be no direct contact with the program area or any city staff. That includes elected officials. And when I say this, I mean any contact that is in an attempt to sway the results. So if you do have a question for Melody or Jared regarding the application, just send that to me. And if you send it to them, they're just going to forward it to me anyway. So just easier to send it to the HCD_NOFA. And if I'm not able to answer it, I will find somebody who can. And the next few slides go over this no contact period, which I just talked about. I'm not going to read these. Like I said, this will be available on the website so you can look over it yourself. But essentially, it's just saying that you cannot reach out to any city representative to try to sway the results of this application process. Okay, so now I'm going to open it up for questions and comments. I don't see anything. Let me go back to the chat. Yeah, I don't see any questions here yet, but if you have them, you can type them here, or you can just unmute yourself and ask, or you can raise your hand. Looks like Annika has a question.
Hey, I have a few questions. Morning, y'all.
Morning.
All right. So my first question is, what I see there's a floor. We know the floor is $100,000, and the max amount of the award in total is $850. Is there a ceiling per organization?
Jared, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, no, there isn't a ceiling set, but we will, see what you propose in your application, and then we may adjust the budget amount accordingly. I will say that we do have one agency that was included in the congressional request that is per the approved item is if we'll receive like a minimum of $100,000. So we are we're working with them as well. But yeah, we're going to see what we get, and then we will adjust requested amounts to make fit the available funding.
Got you. That's great. So my next question is, when we're submitting the budget, should it be for the 2 years and the total amount that we're requesting for the 2 years, or do y'all want a 1-year budget?
No, we would like to see the budget for the entire program. So for 24 months, if that's what you're proposing.
Okay. And then what is the term? I saw that it's going to the DOL in January. So what would be the term of the project?
So based on previous DOL funds, again, since we don't have the an actual award letter or anything from DOL yet that says the grant start date. We just have the congressional allocation and what was released in the Federal Register. It will, I believe, the DOL grants have a total term of 36 months for the city to administer. So that would be from the initial start, and then we would have our agencies that we're working with start and do, and then perform their activities and report and then close out. And then we would need time to do the final. So that's why we're within that 36-month DOL period. We're giving 24 up to 24 months for the agencies to accomplish the project so that we have time for startup and then close out before and after.
Yes, I got that. So I guess let me ask in a different way, because we heard earlier that y'all want to have proof that the project is fully funded if we're going to be leveraging other funds. And so I guess what my actual question is what is the dates, right? The time frame that y'all are anticipating that will be the 24 months that the agencies will have to administer the grant?
So again, we'll submit the application by the end of January, and we are tentatively, we're hopeful that we will get a response from DOL and a award letter or something in spring of 2024. So we would be looking for agencies to be able to do kickoff, because we'll still need, once we get the approvals, we'll still have to actually develop an agreement with the agencies that are in the application and take that to city council.
Yeah.
So probably summer of 2024, late
Yeah.
spring to summer of 2024 is what we're looking at for a program start.
Got you. That's great. And then, so there is a note on the application which says applicants leasing facilities must present evidence that the subject property will be under control for at least 3 years. It's not on the RFP, but it's on the checklist. And so our lease, where we have our administrative office, ends within 3 years in 2025. And so that's something we kind of flagged of we won't have that 3-year thing when we present y'all with our active lease.
So if your agency can't provide information like a lease that shows you'll have site control for up to 3 years, provide what you do have, the current lease terms, and then explain what your proposed process would be to extend the lease. Would it be, you're going to work like we normally do a renewal? This is, we normally have a 2-year lease. Just explain how you would intend to meet the 3-year requirement.
Okay, that's great.
I for all those on the call, if that is an issue, submit what you can, and we will. Better to submit, either you're getting the lease or that it's, to be determined. Don't let that keep you from submitting an application.
Got you. I appreciate that. Then the last question is, what is the page limit for the program narratives? The font is stipulated, but the page count is not. And we just want to make sure we're aligned there too.
Lindsay, do you have a preference on that one? I don't remember setting a page limit, but
No, we didn't set a page limit on this one. So if you guys are open to having it be open, then that's okay with me too.
I would remind everyone we are trying to do a relatively quick turnaround. So if you please provide what is essential and try to be, summarized.
Yeah.
We ask you don't give us a whole novel to read, because we do have limited time to review. So while it doesn't state a page limit, we do ask that you please keep it reasonable and only include relevant information. We don't need your entire agency's background or your annual report if it's not relevant. So just include what is essential. If you want to give us a brief overview of what your agency does, what how you think this fits and how you would complete the program and who you're going to serve, and just stay on topic. So that's what we ask.
Gotcha, for sure. And I think that, my other question is, since these are DOL funds, if we are receiving CDBG public service funds, could we use those dollars to leverage things like staff costs Am I making sense?
It's possible if you want to propose that, but again, I know that DOL and CDBG, sometimes the terms of those two agreements we normally do our CDBG on a 12-month basis, but we would be open to seeing how you would align the two.
Okay.
And I see in the chat that there was a question regarding what was the local agency included in the congressional request. And that local agency that was called out is LaunchPoint CDC. So they were part of the initial application, and that was for $100,000, which is why one of the reasons why the minimum request is $100,000 for the floor for the NOFA. And then there's another question, can CHODO funds be leveraged? I would have to see, like, as part of the proposal, what that would include on how you would leverage CHODO funds for the proposed this job training program. Again, right now, it's long as there's no conflicts with either the proposed funding that you're using as leverage or the DOL funds, which I'm not. DOL does not have a leverage requirement. We're just, if you have other funds, you think that you can work with this, that's part of, what we want to see as part of a larger program. We are open to seeing how you would propose to leverage it, either with, if you have CHODO funding, CDBG funding, or any other funding. And then there is another question, do we do only the threshold documents, and what's the scoring criteria? Please clarify. No, the threshold documents and Lindsay, feel free to add to this as I understand it. The threshold documents, we were just giving the minimum that is needed that you must have to pass threshold for your application to be reviewed. And then we did go over the scoring criteria earlier as part of the presentation, but that is broken down in the NOFA document itself on, I believe it's page 5 and 6 have a section devoted to the scoring criteria where it explains what the amounts are and then the criteria that we'll be looking at as part of the scoring.
Yeah, sorry if I was confusing about that. Yeah, we need everything. I was just saying that the threshold documents are kind of the thing that we can't get around. Like, those things need to be met. But as Jared did say earlier, if you have a hang up on one of those, like say site control, go ahead and submit the application, and then we can work from there during the cure period to see if there's something we can do to help meet that threshold. Because we're here to, help you guys, and we're not trying to create roadblocks if they don't need to be there.
Right. And that site control, like I said, can be what you have currently or how you would obtain a site control if it's not reasonable at this time for you to provide, up to 3 years. If you only have a 1-year lease, and you annually renew it, or just whatever the situation may be. Again, better to provide, some additional explanation and at least address that point, then please don't skip it.
It looks like somebody's typing in the chat, so we'll give a few more minutes in case they're asking a question. Sorry,
I was watching that too.
I did want to say one more thing about the NOFA portal that I didn't say previously, is that please have all your documents ready when you go to submit to the portal, because if you leave that portal open on your desktop and you don't come back to it for, let's say, from what I've heard, it's like 30 minutes, it will time out. So I don't want you to start working, upload some documents, then start working on something else, and then go back and you've lost all your work, because the application doesn't save. There's no save and come back later. It's like a one shot. So get all your documents ready and then go to the portal and upload them all at one time. And if you have any issues, contact me. If you accidentally submit an application and it wasn't complete, then let me know. I can go in the system and have it deleted, and you can submit another application. So just don't hesitate to reach out if you have any issues surrounding the portal.
Yeah, Lindsay, I wanted to add, please don't wait to the last minute. The application is due by 3 p.m. And, technical glitches happen, systems mess up, please give yourself a little bit of time to make sure that, you have some padding and you're not coming down to the last, like, literally seconds. So, and should there be any technical issues, Lindsay, they'll just need to send an email, like if it fails to upload or something, the system they don't get like it sends a confirmation, correct?
It does send a confirmation, but I've been told that there is a little bit of a lag time between the time you submit and the time that I see it on my end. So definitely do not wait till 3 p.m. because it may show up to me at like 3:10. I would have everything ready to go by 2 p.m. just to give yourself enough time in case there's a problem.
And then one other thing that I think we've noted in the past, you do need to access the portal via the the link that's on the website, if you have it open and then you try to copy and paste the link and share with someone else, that won't work.
Right.
You have to use the link that's on the ACD website.
Sure. And also, I was going to say all these questions that you've submitted will be put into a letter of clarification, and they will be published on the strategic purchasing website for you to see like what other people have asked. Same thing goes if you submit a question in writing to me. I will put the response in the letter of clarification, and that will be put on the website. So if the questions are due by the 11th, I will have all the answers to you by close of business on the 12th. I wanted to give just a few more minutes in case someone has a question. And if we end the call and you still have a question, just send me an email. And again, it's best to send an email versus calling, just for me to monitor and make sure I don't miss anything, and so that I can copy that and put it into the letter for clarification so that everybody else can see that question as well and the response. Okay. Well, Jerry, did you have anything else?
I don't have any additional information. I would like to thank everybody that joined us today for taking the time out of your busy schedules. And again, we understand this is a quick turnaround. Please do the best. Although I do see someone is typing, so there might be one more question coming, Lindsay.
Okay, can hang around for a minute. Okay, she said she doesn't have a question.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, thank everybody. Thank you guys. And again, let me know if you have any questions. The website for the portal. So that was in the presentation. Let me go back. And again, this presentation will be put on the website on that NOFA site that I showed you earlier. This is the portal website right here. That's what you would use to access it. This is also in the NOFA. So when you open up the PDF of the NOFA, there should be a link directly to the NOFA portal. All right. So if there's no more questions, thank you guys and have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.